Hi everyone, it's Shannon and welcome to today's video. So today's video I've been wanting to do for a while and then life happened. So I'm a little late to this game, but I decided to go ahead and do it anyway because I ordered all the products. So let's get into it. We are going to be talking about the brand new e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. This is what everybody is talking about, that it's the dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I'm a huge fan of this product. I've used it a lot. So I have three and I think I have two. I have a little one of two. And so we're going to try it out. I like I said, I'm a huge fan. I'm not really a big believer in dupes, but I'm going to try it out. Okay, so before I start applying, I do have several shades. I did go ahead and buy, I think 5 shades total because I wanted to get swatches and compare them to the shades from the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter to hopefully help people that are interested in purchasing it to see which shade, because the shades really didn't line up with what Charlotte Tilbury was. So I just went and bought a bunch, and I didn't know which shade I wanted to buy. So let's do the swatches first. Okay, so before we get into the swatches, let me talk about what shades they have in e.l.f. There's 8 shades, and it starts with 1 fair, then it's 2 fair light, 3 is light medium, 4 is medium, 5 is medium tan, 6 is tan deep, 7 is deep rich, and then 8 is just rich. So those are the 8 shades for the e.l.f. Halo Glow Filter. Okay, so let's talk about Charlotte Tilbury. There's 12 shades, at least according to Sephora. I know they started with less and then they added more. So 1 is fair, then 2 is fair with peachy beige, light undertones. 2.5 is fair golden beige. Then 3 is fair warm peach for light to medium skin tones. 4 is medium for olive for medium skin tones. 4.5 is medium golden beige for medium skin tones. 5 is tan golden peach for tan skin tones. 5.5 is tan for neutral caramel for tan skin tones. 6 tan warm amber for tan to deep skin tones. 6.5 is deep neutral bronze for deep skin tones. 7 is deep rich bronze for deep skin tones. 8 is deep for warm mahogany for deep skin tones. So one of the things that's interesting is that both go from 1 to 8, except that Charlotte Tilbury has a couple 0.5s, and I think those are the ones that were added in. So I'm not 100% sure because I started purchasing it once they added the new shades, but they all go to 1 through 8. So I'm curious to see if they match up. So in the Charlotte Tilbury, the one I use the most is the 3. I usually will use it kind of as a primer and then go on. And then I also have a mini of the 2 fair. So these are the 2 that I have. And then I also, to do some comparisons, I had a recent order and I picked this. So I am going to be able to do some swatch comparisons with these samples. And so for the e.l.f., I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I also got 6 because I wanted to maybe possibly use it as a contour to see, because I did see a couple people doing it as a contour. So I got shades 1 through 4 and then 6 to potentially use as a contour. Okay, so I'm going to start with, this is the Charlotte Tilbury and this is 1. Okay, and this is going to be 1 for the e.l.f. So it's definitely not as light as the Charlotte Tilbury. Okay, and now for Charlotte Tilbury, this is going to be the 2 fair. So the 2 fair is actually lighter than the e.l.f. 1. Next up is the e.l.f. 2. So it definitely has more of a yellow undertone and a little bit darker. Next up is going to be the Charlotte Tilbury 3. It definitely has more of a peach undertone. Okay, next up is going to be 3 in the e.l.f. And this one is very, very close to the Charlotte Tilbury 3. Next up is going to be the 4.5 in Charlotte Tilbury. And next up we're going to do the 4 in the e.l.f. So as you can see, the 4 is significantly darker than the 4.5 in Charlotte Tilbury. Next up is going to be the 5.5 tan in Charlotte Tilbury. And continuing to alternate, this is going to be the 6 in the e.l.f. This is the one I purchased to use as contour. Okay, this is the 6.5 Deep in Charlotte Tilbury. And as you can see, it is a little bit lighter than the 6 in e.l.f. And since I have a swatch of it, this is the 8 in Charlotte Tilbury. So nothing compares to it. It is just dark. But so this is the 6.5 in Charlotte Tilbury. This is the 6 in e.l.f. But the 8 in Charlotte Tilbury is pretty dark. But the e.l.f. does go up to 7 and 8. So now I'm going to compare the first 4 shades in the e.l.f. Against each other so you can have a closer comparison between those shades. Okay, so here is shade 1 in the e.l.f. Here is shade 2. Here is shade 3. And finally, shade 4. So as you can see for the first at least 3 shades, they just have different undertones. They don't seem to be that much darker. 4 is obviously definitely a little bit darker. I might keep that to use to darken a foundation. But yeah, the undertones are very different. Okay, so Shannon from the next day. When I went to edit this, I realized that I had flipped my microphone around, and so for most of the rest of the video, the sound is going to be muffled. I apologize. I forgot when I was doing the swatches, I had turned the microphone around, and then when I forgot to turn it back. So the audio is going to be kind of screwy, but honestly, I just can't refilm this one again. So it is what it is, but that's the reason why the audio is going to be a little sketchy for the rest of the video. So enjoy. So now that we've done the swatch comparisons, I'm definitely going to go in with 3 because I think it actually 3 was a pretty good match. 3 with the e.l.f. and 3 with Charlotte Tilbury were pretty close. The other ones didn't seem to match up. So definitely, you know, take a look at the swatches because there's no descriptions. It doesn't talk about undertones. So I think I wish that e.l.f. would, you know, at least on the site that I saw, I didn't see any undertones. So, but 3 matched up with the Charlotte Tilbury pretty well. So that's what I'm going to use to compare. So I'm going to start with the Charlotte Tilbury. I'm going to put this on my right side. And like I said, when I usually apply this, I apply it just kind of all over my face. So that is what I'm going to do today. Then just go ahead and blend it out. Okay, so it is applied. This is the Hollywood Flawless Filter, and this is nothing. So let's put on the e.l.f. Okay, so I'm going to go in just like I did with the other one. Now I will say the applicator for the e.l.f. is much easier to get the product out. That's my biggest complaint with the Charlotte Tilbury is it's hard to get the product out. Okay, I'm going to go in and blend it out. And okay, so here is the e.l.f. side, here is the Charlotte Tilbury side. Will say the e.l.f. side is definitely a thicker side. It feels almost like a foundation. It does sheer out. I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury side gives more of a glow, whereas the e.l.f. side gives more of a sheen. It's definitely a different look. However, up close, you really can't tell. And I think under foundation, it's going to see how it looks. So I'm going to put on some foundation. I'm going to put on a lightweight foundation or a light to medium foundation so to kind of wear it through to see what you're going to be able to tell. I'm going to say that you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference once my foundation is on. But this side is definitely, I feel, glowy, more glowy, and this one is more of a sheen. But it's subtle and probably only I would notice. Okay, so I've put foundation on. I went with the Armani Luminous Silk because it's like a medium coverage, and I know it's a foundation that looks good and lasts a good while. So that's what I'm wearing right now. And honestly, with the foundation on, I can't tell the difference. I really can't tell the difference. So if anything, I feel like I'm more glowy on the Charlotte Tilbury side, but by very little. I have not powdered, I have not done anything. I am going to try contouring with shade, actually this is 4, but I'm going to try contouring with shade 6 and see how that works out. Okay, so I'm going to just go in a little bit. I don't know how this is going to work, but I figured for $14 it was worth a shot. Okay, so I definitely put too much. So I would probably, if I was going to use this as an underpaint and go in and then do my foundation and see how that works. But let me go ahead and do the rest of my face. I can definitely make it work, and I'll probably go over with the foundation, but I think it could work as a contour, you know, and again, for $14, if it doesn't, it's 14 bucks. Okay, so I finished it with as a contour and a bronzer. I actually kind of like it. Went on really easily, so I probably would just toy with it. Obviously, I'm doing this on the little camera and my little Baby Yoda mirror, so doing it at my makeup desk would be a lot easier, but I actually kind of like it as a contour. So for me, I think the 6 is a good shade. The 5 is probably a better shade for a contour, but I can make this one work, especially if I do it as an underpaint. But I kind of like it as a contour and a bronzer, so I don't know. Okay, so I am back with my full face of makeup, and I gotta tell you, first of all, really like it as a contour. I kind of did that just on a whim, but I kind of really like it as a contour. It's probably a little dark right now because I probably put a little too much on because I was doing it here and not at my my vanity, but I definitely can make it work. And again, at $14, I really like it. Maybe would try shade 5, which I think shade 5 is even sold out right now. So I got shade 6, but I can definitely make it work, and definitely if I make it as an underpaint under the foundation. As for under the foundation, the Hollywood Flawless Filter and the comparison, I won't say it's a, you know, dupe for dupe. Like, it's not. It's very similar though. And if I were having a special occasion or going, you know, it's my wedding day, I'm going to wear the Charlotte, I mean, I've been married 12 years, but I'm going to wear the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. To me, that gives a better look. However, it's so close. I can notice a difference up here, but I don't think you can probably notice in the camera. So I don't think it's going to be a big difference for everyone. And then if it was like, if I was just going out for a night, I'd probably use the e.l.f. because it's going to, you know, be a lot cheaper. But again, if it's a special occasion, I'm going to use the Hollywood Flawless Filter. Now I'm curious to see what the longevity is, because with the Hollywood Flawless Filter, it also works like as a primer, and it helps, you know, create a longevity for my foundation. So with the Luminous Silk, I like the Armani Luminous Silk, but it doesn't last on me long. It's not something that I'm going to wear out. It's going to look good for a couple hours and then it's going to wear away. So I'm going to come back and see what I think of it, how it wears. It's only going to probably take a couple hours to see which one is wearing well. I don't know. I don't know which one will wear well, but that's going to be the real test. Because if it wears better than the Hollywood Flawless Filter, then maybe I would wear it for something because it's going to give me longevity. But as of right now, I still like the Hollywood Flawless Filter side better, but it's so little, and it's a really close dupe. Now I am going to put a little as highlighter and see how it works as highlighter on top of the foundation. So I'm going in with the Hollywood Flawless Filter 2. And I'm just going to put a little bit here, and because that is the other way that you can wear this, and I'm going to see which one I prefer. I don't really wear the Hollywood Flawless Filter like this, but a lot of people do. Now I put on 2 Fair in the Charlotte Tilbury. Comparing it, I am going to go in with the one from e.l.f. because I feel like it is a better shade match. So that is what I'm going to do. The 2 was considerably darker and it's a different undertone. So, okay, so definitely if you want to use it as a highlighter, the Hollywood Flawless Filter, no question. This doesn't seem to give like any sort of highlight where this one does. So if you're going to use it over foundation, definitely go for the Hollywood Flawless Filter. Okay, so that is it for right now. I'm going to come in back and do a final check-in. I'm doing a couple videos today, and it's a weekend, so running around. I'm gonna kind of see how this wears. I'm probably not gonna do like an 8-hour or 10-hour wear test, but just a couple hours to kind of see how it's wearing and see how, and I'm gonna not touch up from here on out. So that will kind of give me an idea of which one wears better. And it could be that they wear pretty similar and maybe not. So we'll see. So I will be back. So as you can see, I'm wearing different clothes and my makeup is fresh. That is because I did record a recap and I lost the footage. I don't know what happened to it. I don't know if I accidentally deleted it, but it's lost. So I'm gonna do a quick recap, but I also have had a chance to use the e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter a couple times since, and I've gotten a better feel for the product. So first of all, I have been using the 6 quite a bit, and I kept saying contour. I meant bronzer. I don't know what I was, what I was saying, but I meant bronzer. But I used it today, and I use it. I really like it. I really like it. It's very easy to use, blends out really nice. So really good as a bronzer. I'm curious to try the shade 5. It's sold out right now, but I'd be curious to try shade 5. And then I have used shade 2 and 3 as kind of the primer, and like I use the Charlotte Tilbury. I still prefer the Charlotte Tilbury. I'm going to be honest. I still prefer the Charlotte Tilbury one. Maybe it's just my psyche that just is like Charlotte Tilbury's better. I don't know, but I still prefer it. But the e.l.f. one is really, really good. So it is one where I'm going to put on on a daily basis, but if I'm going out, which doesn't happen very often, but if I'm going out, I'm gonna wear the Hollywood Flawless filter. I'm leaving on a cruise this weekend. I'm gonna bring the Hollywood Flawless filter with me. So, I think that's, I just like the way it just gives a little bit of a better look. However, when I compare them side by side, I really can't tell the difference. So I think it's probably just more my psyche that I prefer the Charlotte Tilbury more. But I do really like it. When I did compare them at the end of the day, the Charlotte Tilbury did hold my foundation a little bit better. The side with the e.l.f. did break apart a little bit faster, but it was very little. It wasn't that big of a difference where it was like night and day. It was subtle. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. And I was wearing the Armani Luminous Silk, which for me doesn't give me longevity. So I was able to kind of tell which one lasted a little bit longer. They were very similar, but the Charlotte Tilbury one did hold up a little bit better. But if you've never purchased the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter, and it's just too expensive for you, definitely try the Halo Glow liquid filter. It's great. I think the hardest thing for me was the shade match. So definitely look at the swatches that I posted, and I'll put timestamps below because I know a lot of people have questioned that. I also did a short as well. So I'll post a link up here to the short so you can see, and also post a link below to the short. So where I compare the lighter shades. I compared I think 9 shades and 1 through 4. I didn't compare the darker shades in that short just because it's a short. But otherwise, I think it is, I think it's a pretty good dupe. It is a pretty good dupe. I still prefer the original, but it is a pretty good dupe. So with that, if you like this video, click like, click and subscribe. That way you get a notification every time I post a new video. Bye everyone.